What's up, guys? So the UFC month of November has wrapped up. We've entered December, and I thought it would be a good time, as always, to go through the month that was, recap the whole month, recap every single card, and I've got 6 categories here to go over, including the KO of the month, the submission of the month, the performance of the month, the event of the month, the fight of the month, and even the moment of the month as well. But also at the start of the video, we're going to go through some of the numbers and run through my picks and how I did with the pick rate. So we're going to start off with that now. But first of all, in the month of November, there were three UFC cards. 37 fights took place. 14 of them ended by TKO or KO. 15 of them ended by decision. 7 of them entered by submission, and 1 of them was a no contest. As far as my picks, for the Lewis vs Almeida card, I went 7-2-1 no contest. For UFC 295, I went 10-2-1 draw. And then for Allen vs Craig, I went 10-3-1 no contest as well. Sorry, the Lewis vs Almeida one was a draw, not a no contest, by the way. But yeah. So 7-2-1 for Lewis vs Almeida, 10-2-1 for UFC 295, and 10-3-1 for Allen vs Craig. It was a pretty solid month for me on picks. Total, I went 27-7-3, which is a 79% prediction rate for the month of November, which is pretty solid. I think that might be my best month, I'm not sure. And main events, I went 3 out of 3 as well, so I got every single main event pick right. But now that we've gone over those numbers, we're going to go through and we're going to start off with the first category. I've got 5 nominations and then I'm going to reveal my winner. So the submission of the month is the first category that we've got to go over. And my 5 nominations are, you guys can let me know yours, but these are my nominations. First of all, Mateusz Rebecki's armbar over Roosevelt Roberts. It was an impressive submission, dominant performance, and he got him out of there quickly. But he was a big favourite, so he was kind of expected to win. The next submission of the month category, or candidate, is Brendan Allen's rear naked choke over Paul Craig. He dominated him and got a submission in the 3rd round. The next one was Chase Hooper's first round rear naked choke over Jordan Levitt. Then we had Joanderson Brito's ninja choke against Jonathan Pierce. And then Maitabek Oralbay's neck crank against Urus Medic. So those are the 5 nominations for submission of the month. And ultimately, I've picked Joanderson Brito's ninja choke as the best submission of the month. When I'm looking at what I think is the best submission of the month, I'm mostly going off what is like the most difficult submission and the most impressive submission to pull off. So, while the level of opposition definitely puts Brendan Allen's submission over Paul Craig way up on the list, as a rear naked choke, when he was already dominating him, softened up with ground and pound, I do kind of attribute it to that too. It wasn't like he just snatched it out of nowhere. Like he systematically broke down Paul Craig, which is really impressive. But it wasn't just the submission out of nowhere. But Joanderson Brito's ninja choke, he was on the ground, he was hitting Pierce in the back of the head. Pierce was like, "Ref, he's hitting me in the back of the head." And then Brito's like, blah, 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 blah. And then Pierce was like, "Why don't you get and do something, boy?" And then Brito just got up and did something, and he wrapped up a sub immediately. As he got up, he just shot that neck, like, bang, and just got him. Locked it up and made him tap out. So that was a really impressive submission. Ultimately, I thought that was a more impressive just submission alone. If you're looking at like what was the better performance of the two, definitely Brendan Allen, but I think that wins submission of the month for me. We move on to the next category, and it's the KO of the month. There were, as I said, 14 fights out of 37 ended by TKO/KO in this month. There were some really impressive finishes, some flatline KOs, some impressive TKOs, some dominant finishes. But I've got 5 nominations here, and I'm going off just as impressive as the highlight of the KO was itself. So not the performance there. I've got a performance of the month category, but just the KO itself. So the first nomination is Elvis Brenner's overhand KO over Kainan Khrushchevsky. Again, not the most impressive level of opposition, but I don't care about that. I'm just going off the KO itself, and he flatlined him with an overhand. Tom Aspinall's 1-2 against Sergey Pavlovich. Extremely impressive. Basically put him out. Impressive KO. Then we've got Bonar St. Denis's head kick against Matt Favola. Pretty much a flatline KO. Super impressive. Minute and a half into the fight. Then we got Jeka Saragi's right hand as he got back up. As Lucas Alexander got back up, and then he just flattened him with a big shot. And then Vitor Petrino's check hook KO against Modestas Bukauskas was another nomination. So you guys might be like, oh, where's Pereira's thing or any of these ones? Like, a lot of the ones that you might think deserve to be on there, I've probably put in either, like, maybe the performance of the month, but they weren't flatline KOs, so they were impressive finishes, but I'm looking at just the KO, and ultimately, in a combination of the level of opposition, the high stakes nature, and just the KO itself, you got to go with Tom Aspinall's quick 1-2 against Sergey Pavlovich. He cracked him with a right, wobbled him, and then went back in again with another right hand and put him pretty much out. So as much as I did want Sergey Pavlovich to win, I picked him to win. I got to give respect to Tommy Aspinall for a big flatline, or pretty much flatline, impressive minute, just over a minute finish. So great stuff from Tom Aspinall. We move on to the next category, and it's the performance of the month. So this is where you guys are going to be like, this is where the ones that didn't make it in either the submission or KO of the month, this is where they're going to be. So the next one. So the first nomination is Diego Lopez TKO against Pat Sabatini. Another quick finish for Lopez. He's quickly becoming a fan favourite in the UFC, quickly becoming one of the most promising rising contenders. And at UFC 295, he basically dominated Pat Sabatini, gave him nothing, and just bullied him to a finish inside 2 minutes. And got a really impressive TKO. The next one was Alex Pereira's TKO against Yuri Prohaska. Obviously, it was a pretty competitive fight. He was chewing up his legs, and then he caught him. He was getting rushed a bit by Prohaska, and then he caught him with a check hook, put him down, and then elbowed him to the side of the head to a TKO. A little bit of an early stoppage, though. The next one is Brendan Allen's dominant performance against Paul Craig. Again, just broke him down, even in the grappling, which was very impressive to see. And that was a super impressive performance. And then finally we've got Maitabek Urulbay's dominant performance against Uros Medic. He basically just dominated in the whole fight. A little bit of trouble early on the feet, but then he got a hold of him and just took him down multiple times and dominated him. I might be forgetting a nomination. Okay, I'll chuck in Jailson Almeida's 5 rounds lay and pray fest over Derek Lewis. Performance of the month for him. But ultimately, the winner, I'll go with Brendan Allen against Paul Craig. It was the most dominant performance of the month. It was the most well-rounded. I'd say the most impressive in terms of how he dominated Paul Craig, who's a jiu-jitsu specialist who submits a lot of guys off his back, submitted Magomed Ankalaev and Jamal Hill, and Brendan Allen just broke him down and dominated him to a submission finish in the 3rd round. So I'm going Brendan Allen for the performance of the month. You guys can let me know if you agree or not. The next category we've got is the moment of the month. So there were some great moments that took place in the month of November. As this category goes, I'm not going off again the most flashy KO, the best submission or anything like that. This is like, it might not even be a finish or a performance in general, but these are the 5 moments that made the headlines the most in the month of November. So the first moment is the frustration of Jailton Almeida's lack of finish. I'm calling it like just finish him. Like, it was Almeida's performance against Derek Lewis, which raised a lot of kind of eyebrows about why is this guy not going for a finish? Why is he just laying on him the whole time? It was not like an impressive moment, but more of like a what's going on here kind of moment. You know what I'm saying? The next moment is Poatan's double champ breakthrough. Obviously, and then his subsequent call out of Israel Adesanya. So we know what happened, obviously. We know the whole history with Poatan and Adesanya, but at UFC 295, he won a 2nd belt in a 2nd division, and then he called out Adesanya. Definitely raised the headlines, and definitely made a lot of news stories. Next one is Aspinall's interim gold, and then the subsequent conversations about him and John Jones. A great moment, obviously, with the finish over Sergey Pavlovich, and then it kind of raised a lot of questions, and even he talked about post-fight, why would they rebook Jones versus Stipe? We have a clear, like, second best heavyweight in the world like me. Why wouldn't they just do me versus Jones? And obviously a lot of people talking about that. Dana White even being like, no, we're still going to do Stipe, that's the fight people want to see, and it really doesn't seem like it's the fight that anyone wants to see, to be honest. So really big, or talkable moment as well. I struggled to come up with another two, honestly. There weren't a massive, like, heap of, like, moments, I guess you could say. I don't know, maybe Mackenzie Dern's lack of striking could be a moment, I guess. But, yeah, there weren't a heap of major, like, moments. I guess Jared Gordon's post-fight interview where he said he used to shoot heroin under Penn Station or something. Like, that was pretty funny. But ultimately, I'm going to go with Poatan's double champion status as the moment of the month. Just seeing a guy win a second UFC belt in how many fights? Like 7, I think it is. Was it 7 fights? I believe it was 7 fights. Because what? He fought Michailidis, he fought Bruno Silva, Strickland, Adesanya, Blachowicz. Yeah. 7 fights, and he's won 2 belts, and he's got 4 wins over champions or former champions. Crazy legacy for Alex Pereira. Very impressive. Great moment. But we move on to the next category, and it is the fight of the month. There were some great fights, some great scraps that took place in the month of November, and I'm going to be going through the 5 that I thought were the best fights. And if you're going to go back and just rewatch an exciting fight, you're going to watch these ones. Excluding the finish, it was great the whole round, great the whole time. So, first fight of the night, first fight of the month nomination is Nicolas Dalby versus Gabriel Bonfim. So obviously, Bonfim came in massive favourite, and he was dominating Dalby early. And then somehow, some way, Dalby comes back, puts the pressure on him, and then finds a finish in the second round, just breaks Bonfim and kind of fraud checks him, to be honest. Crazy performance and an amazing fight too. The next fight of the month contender is Renat against Azalea Daleski dos Santos. Ended in a draw. It was an amazing scrap. Renat came in big favourite, was expected to do great things, but he kind of gassed out a little bit. He didn't hold up on the feet. His technique on the feet was really iffy. So, but it was a great fight. It was getting dominated towards the end. You're like, whoa, this is about to get finished. Massive upset. Ends up being a draw. Crazy scrap. The next one is Sadikov versus Borshev at UFC 295. It was an incredible fight. Great scrap. These two just went to war. Both of them had moments where they looked like getting finished, especially Borshev in that second round. Almost was out of there. But it somehow made its way to a distance, and it was an amazing fight. One fight of the night for that card. The next one is Joshua Van against Kevin Borjas. Not like a barn burner, guys getting rocked all over the place, but this was just a great scrap. It was constant output, to be honest. Like, go back and rewatch this. Josh Van was just throwing the whole time. He got dropped even earlier in the fight, and then in the second and third, as a young guy, he managed still to come back and put on a great performance, and it was a great scrap. The next one is Andrade versus Dern. Look, it's women's MMA, so you're probably not expecting it to be here, but this was actually a great fight, and I was kind of bummed because I was like, Lopez got a finish, Benoit got a finish, and now we got to sit through a women's MMA fight. But this ended up being a great scrap. Andrade, they both rocked each other a bunch of times. It was more funny just to see Dern's horrendous striking defense, which made this fight what it was. But it was a solid scrap. But without a doubt, the winner of fight of the month, definitely Borshev versus Sadikov. This is one of the better fights of the year. An incredible scrap, especially that second round where Sadikov almost had him out of there. It was crazy stuff. Definitely fight of the month. You guys let me know somehow if you disagree. But finally, let's talk about the event of the month. So obviously, 3 events took place in the month of November. The first event was Lewis versus Almeida. We had 4 finishes, including Dalby's finish, Brenner's KO, Petrino's KO, and then Eduardo Moore got a TKO, as well as Renat versus Zaleski was a solid scrap. UFC 295, obviously the big pay-per-view, 8 finishes, Pereira's TKO, Aspinall's KO, Benoit, Lopez, Andrade versus Dern, Rebecca's sub, Gordon's TKO, Emma's TKO, and then Sadikov versus Borshev as well. It was a great fight. Great card, sorry. And then Allen versus Craig as well, 9 finishes, so somehow more than 295, which was great. But a lot of subs. We had Allen sub, Chase Hooper sub, Talbot sub, Ribas TKO, Oralby sub, Brito sub, Johnson sub, CLD TKO, and then Jekka Saragi's KO. So it was a great fight night in the Apex, but a lot of the subs were later on, rear naked chokes, just not super eventful. So without a doubt, the event of the month was UFC 295. It was a great card, and it was crazy all round. The main card was all finishes. You don't see that very often at all. But Guys, that is the end of the video. That's the November recap. If you're new on this channel, because this month is the month that we did really blow up with the viewers and subscribers. We started November with around 75, 80 subscribers, getting around 80, 100 to like 100 views a video maybe. Even that was optimistic for a lot of videos, but now we're up at like 1,000 views a video more. My most viewed video has 16k views, so the growth in November has been crazy. Channel's absolutely blown up, so I appreciate every single one of you that has subscribed. This is a new series that we've been doing since June. Since I started this channel, I've been doing these monthly recaps, so hope you enjoyed. But I'll see you guys in the next one. Tune in tomorrow for the live stream. Peace out.